All right, if you're looking for hopium, here it comes.
I'm the crack dealer for hopium.
We love Solana because it's so damn fast.
So you want to increase bandwidth and you want to reduce latency.
There is this massive global community of developers.
Now it's clear that, it's used for absolutely everything.
As cheap as physics allow, and I think that's really cool that we get to do both.
And since then, you've written a book about Solana, of all things.
Are we at an inflection point? Have we hit our mainstream moment?
Yeah, I think that is essentially true, and now we're seeing that expand, obviously.
The only one that's actually going to get you there is Solana, and that's why we're so excited about where Solana is and where it's going in the years to come.
And then on Christmas Day, check your wallet, because if you've signed up using the link below, there could be $10,000 deposited into your account from Cindy. $10,000. Do it right now.
We love that.
This special coverage of Solana Breakpoint in Abu Dhabi is brought to you by Space, the world's first leverage prediction markets on Solana. It's the end of 2025 and we are here at the Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi. If you were a speculator in 2025 was a very disappointing year. But if you were a builder, it was the exact opposite. It was a pivotal year. We're here at Solana Breakpoint. It's the ultimate conversion between builders and speculators. Let's go see what they're building and what they think is going to happen in 2026. What can 2026 bring? We all expected a bull market in 2025, but instead, we got a demotivating sideways chop. Bitcoin is flat, Ethereum is flat, Solana is down. But underneath the surface, what you realize is that while for speculators, 2025 scammed us, rugged us, and wiped out the leverage, 2025 was the ultimate pivotal year for the builders, especially here at Solana. And what better way to end the year than to be here at the 5th Solana Breakpoint, where the builders are building the decentralized speculation engines. A big milestone and a big conference.
It's the beginning of something really special.
For developers, for creators, for anybody who really just wants to get involved in the space.
So you want to increase bandwidth and you want to reduce latency.
There is this massive global community of developers who have a vested interest in helping you so that we can all succeed together.
Got the best culture, got the best community, got the best tech. Where else would you build?
Breakpoint 2025 is a big milestone. And remember, Banter is the only channel that has the boots on the ground and has been covering Breakpoint every single year. And huge it was. Over 3,500 attendees from all over the world. Let's first rewind to the week before the FTX fallout and start there. Remember, there's no other channel in crypto that brings you direct access like this. From Bitcoin in Miami to Ethereum and Vitalik to CZ and Binance in Paris. And now here we are in Amsterdam talking all things Solana. I'm going to show you who's building on the chain. I've never seen so much intellect per square foot in my life. You actually wouldn't believe what's going on. Let's go. So as you can see, we walk in here. The halls are packed. We have projects building on Solana. We have the entire Solana development community and speculation community mixed in one place right here at Abu Dhabi. Let's carry on taking a walk. We arrive in Abu Dhabi and we're blown away by the sheer scale of Breakpoint 2025. The theme, absolute cinema. And the layout was absolutely cinematic. Key here, the UAE welcome and embracing all things crypto and blockchain, positioning themselves as the regional leader.
To us, this is a significant moment. For the first time that we see Solana Breakpoint comes to the Middle East. Abu Dhabi is the capital of capital, and increasingly it is also becoming the capital of the blockchain innovation.
Big names were here: Coinbase, Crypto.com, Wormhole, Phantom, Firedancer, and a long list of serious Solana builders.
To DeFi, to stablecoins, we now clearly find ourselves in the internet capital markets era for Solana. Our conviction is that upstream of everything is fair launching tokens with real value.
Breakpoint had multiple halls, multiple exhibitors, multiple top talks, including a talk from Raj and Anatoly, Solana's founders, kicking things off here at the Etihad Arena.
What you guys are most proud of in terms of accomplishments over the past 5 years, thinking back to that Breakpoint?
Just the constant reinvention of the network, the ecosystem, and the community. Now it's clear that it's used for absolutely everything.
Because of those, we're able to build and develop technology that can really serve global finance as cheap as physics allow. And I think that that's really cool that we get to do both. Thank you, everyone.
Our first day was all about interviews from the speculators. The financial wizardry and engineering right here on display. Mike Novogratz from Galaxy, Raoul Paul from Real Vision, 𝗙𝗘𝗏𝗧𝗏 from Multicoin, Anthony Scaramucci from 𝗙𝗘𝗔𝗧𝗏𝗏 Capital. All here bridging TradFi, Wall Street, and institutions.
It's hard for new chains to get enough air to tell the story. And so conferences like this help Solana tell its story. We love Solana because it's so damn fast. It was tailor-built to be the capital markets chain. It is a radical, radical departure. It is awesome for this industry.
So my job is the hopium dealer, and I've come to inject some hopium in your veins. So here gives you a chart of the money printing ahead. We've got about $8 trillion of money to print via liquidity in the next 12 months. And I know a lot of you think that the crypto cycle might be over and we can't have nice things. I'm going to show you we can have nice things. You just need to learn patience. It's the easiest macro environment of all time. It's driven by this one cycle. We know how long it is. It's driven by the debt cycle. And we know that they print money to deal with it. And Bitcoin has a 90% correlation.
I'm here to talk about my new book, which came out yesterday, called Solana Rising. And I thought it was very important to lay out the story because I think 2026 is going to be one of these breakthrough years for this chain.
If you consider the Solana network today, well, we think Solana is really building the most ambitious vision for the future of internet capital markets. The only one that's actually going to get you there is Solana. And that's why we're so excited about where Solana is and where it's going in the years to come. So thank you all.
We sat down with a murder's row of these headliners to get the macro on Solana and, more importantly, to get a sense of where we've been in 2025 and where we're going in 2026.
Are we at an inflection point? Have we hit our mainstream moment?
Yes, this is very clearly the inflection point that we've all been waiting for. Every government in the world, frankly, is now actively working on policy in this space, actively trying to figure out how to deal with dollar stablecoins, how to deal with local stablecoins, how to deal with digital assets more broadly.
And thank you for joining us at Breakpoint today.
Awesome. Thank you, Kristen. Thanks, everyone.
Then after day one, we sat down with the builders, one after the other, rapid fire, getting under the hood to see all things development right here at Solana. We sat down with 𝗙𝗏𝗃, with Jito, with Jupiter, Pith, Drift, Helium, Cast, and even Legion.
And just 2 months ago, we launched Pith Pro. Every asset class, updated every millisecond, built by the best traders in the world. And the best part of it is it's 10x less expensive than anything else on the market.
Thanks, everyone. Before the start, I wanted to show you exactly where this is all happening. It's happening inside an arena, and it just shows you the size of Breakpoint 2025 and the size of Solana in 2025. Now, let's carry on and take a look outside to see the sponsors and everything that's going on. We're going to be bringing you all the alpha. We're going to be here looking for the top signals. We'll see what people are building, and we'll see what all the long lines are about. For seekers, for Solana, for cards, for all things happening right here. Solana Breakpoint is a key pulse check for me every single year. And here with banter, you've got a front row seat to close out 2025. Okay, enough overview. Let's get into the deep dive. First up, Raoul Paul from Real Vision. People love him because he's always bullish. And here today, he's bullish again. This time he broke down why 2025 tanked and why he thinks 2026 will be the real boom for speculators. All right, if you're looking for hopium, here it comes.
I'm the crack dealer for hopium.
So before we get into speaking about Solana, I want to talk to you about the macro. We had the FOMC earlier in the week, and pretty much the best FOMC we could have got. We got the rate cut. It wasn't a hawkish rate cut, as they mentioned, and Bitcoin's trading down. Like, what's going on in this cycle?
Well, there's something weird still going on with liquidity. Outside of, are there any dead bodies from October? We don't know. But liquidity, we've got to get through year-end funding. There's not enough liquidity still in the system, which is why the Fed actually did more than expected because they know. I still think they're going to have to do another measure in the term repo just to get the banks through their year-end funding. So liquidity is still tight. And because we're the furthest out on the risk curve, we suffer when there's no liquidity. But next year, they've made changes, things like the ESLR, the supplementary leverage ratio, which is to allow the banks to take more risk and absorb more treasuries. That is liquidity. So the treasury can print the bonds, the banks buy them, they turn it into magic bank money.
Money creation.
It's money creation, and that's liquidity. So it's all to come, but we're still in this weird patch, this December patch, where the Fed have got, the Treasury have got, on December 15th, a whole bunch of bills to sell. That's going to suck money out of the system. There's not enough money for year-end funding, so it's still a bit wobbly.
So how do you see the roadmap into 2026?
I can't see it any other way than we've got to roll $10 trillion of debt. The only way of doing it is by printing money. They've made the regulatory change to force the banks to do it, which we knew was going to come, because that's the next buyer. They're already using the balance sheet. We've got the big, beautiful bill, which is a hugely stimulative tax cut that's there to juice the economy into the midterm elections. We've got Scott Bessent and Donald Trump saying we're going to have a really strong economy, because basically they're going to pump liquidity, fiscal stimulus, regulatory clarity. They're already saying crypto is one of the key industries that we want. And so I can only see with that the number has to go up.
Do you see a world with stimulus checks next year? I know that Trump and Bessent have spoken about it. Do you think it's coming?
They will buy anything to get through this midterm. It is the most important game, because don't forget, this government is backed by the technologists, and they've said they need rates to go lower. And that's for two reasons. One, they want mortgages down, but the other reason is interest payments on the debt need to be at the same as GDP. I've talked about this a lot in the Everything Code. And GDP growth, let's say in 2026, maybe 3.5% or 3% or 2.5%, the trend rate of growth, take an average over time, and interest rates are too high still. So they have to jam interest rates lower, stimulate the housing market, then push liquidity into the system, which stimulates all of the markets, then chuck in tax stimulus.
So
how can that not be good? But crypto gets it the most.
The ISM has been below 50 for 4 years now.
It's insane.
And it's the first time that it didn't line up with a 4-year cycle.
Yeah.
So I believe that it's the ISM cycle we should be following, not the 4-year cycle.
Which is based on the debt cycle, and that debt cycle got extended to 5.5 years or 5.4 years. So that's pushed it out, which gives us a cycle through to the end of 2026.
Guys, I told you there would be hopium, and you got to buy it. Raoul, it's so good to see you, my friend.
Always good,
man.
See ya.
Thank you.
This cycle, that cycle, we're here for the hopium. And then we moved on to Anthony Scaramucci, the Skybridge Capital CEO, who actually once did a White House stint. And now he's written a book about Solana.
And I think 2026 is going to be a phenomenal year for all of us.
He's our bridge into TradFi, and I wanted to see how TradFi are seeing Solana.
It's been a long time since we've been together in front of a camera, my friend.
But I like being in camera in front of you. We did Killer Whales together, lots of interviews, a Bitcoin debate. Remember that night in Florida?
And since then, you've written a book about Solana, of all things. Why did you choose to write a book about Solana?
Well, I own a ton of Solana. I own a ton of it for clients. We have it on our balance sheet. And I think it's very important for the demographic that I live in, I'm a lot older than you, to understand it. And the only way they're really going to understand it is through a narration. So I took people through the origin story, Anatoly's story, how he thought about building it, the features of it from a technological perspective. I mean, one of the beauties of Solana, and Anatoly always mentions this, is that he didn't try to reinvent the wheel. He took all existing computer science, all existing software technology to build Solana and to create the scalability and the speed and the lower cost. And so it's easy to develop on, and I think it's going to be part of the long-term infrastructure / architecture of the future of finance.
So your market is a lot more conservative. They're a lot safer. How are they accepting Solana?
I'm the only person wearing a tie in this room other than the security, right?
Yeah.
So you know my market is a lot
more conservative.
A lot more conservative.
How accepting are they of things beyond Bitcoin and ETH? And
so we're getting there now.
So you talk about people paying attention. But when I look at the prices, people aren't paying attention because if I look at every other risk asset, Russell 2000, silver, gold, everything's
AI.
up. Everything's up at all-time highs.
Yeah.
And when I look at Bitcoin, it's...
Well, I think you got to zoom out. I mean, I hear you. It's been a difficult year. I think expectation and anticipation was too high for the year. It was a little bit like the Shawshank Redemption. If you remember the book, we had a jailbreak in 2024. You know, we were getting our heads stuffed in a toilet by Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler. And, you know, whatever my issues are with President Trump, I applaud him for his political instincts and understanding how important the blockchain, crypto technology, Solana, Bitcoin, et cetera, are for the future of finance and for the future of America in order to maintain its mantle of financial services leadership. So we had a jailbreak, an explosion in prices, people levered up, expecting lots of regulatory bills getting passed this year. I mean, we got one of them passed, but the big one, the market structure one, which I think is the most detailed, didn't get passed this year.
It'll probably be 2026.
I think it will be.
How do you see 2026?
So that's the thing. I like 2026 as the expectations are super low. If you look at the fear-greed index, everybody's toggled on fear. If you go to the beginning of the year or the end of last year, everybody was toggled on greed. And so people are blown out of their positions, they've de-levered. We've got some healing to happen in the industry right now. But you know it and I know it, there's lots of underlying demand in these ETFs, lots of net buying. And so I like it, but listen, you know Bitcoin better than me, you know crypto better than me. You know, it's a jagged edge. It looks like a very bad EKG, but it does move up and to the right.
Up and to the right. And that's probably what 2026 is going to be like. Mooch, thank you very much, my friend.
Great to
nice
be
to
on.
see you.
Up and to the right. That's exactly what we like to hear. Next up, let's hear from the ultimate builder, not a speculator. Jeremy Allaire from Circle created and engineered the world's first tokenized real-world asset framework with USDC. And now let's see what's next for the publicly listed company.
Jeremy, so good to see you again, and also just off the stage, you guys are doing absolutely incredible things. The listing is now behind you, you're a publicly listed company. What's the vision going forward?
You know, over the last 7 years or so, we focused so much on building our stablecoin network, and the largest regulated stablecoin network in the world. It's growing faster than any other major stablecoin in the world. We grew 108% year over year in the last quarter, faster than, again, any other major stable. The transaction volumes on our stablecoin network grew 580% year over year to nearly $10 trillion in transactions in Q3. And the use cases are expanding incredibly fast. The number of major institutions that are integrating this, from e-commerce platforms to others, are growing for this sort of next phase of growth in the internet economic system.
What do you need a stablecoin chain for when the other chains are so fast and pretty cheap?
Over the next 10 to 15 years, that the role of these economic operating systems is going to expand dramatically. And we're going to see, through the combination of AI and these economic OSs, we're going to see more and more parts of the entire economic system, not just stable coins and payments, but the establishment of the mechanisms of how we run a corporation, how contracts between entities work, how contracts are executed by AI, how governance happens in the world. We also believe that a distributed network model where you have active participation from major governments and infrastructure operators who have a stake in a network and participate in the governance of a network that can wire together economic systems around the world, whatever the political or economic bent of those is.
Am I right in saying that it's the framework, the legal framework for most real-world assets right now?
Yeah.
Because as far as I know, there's no real other regulated real-world asset framework other than the one that you guys pioneered.
We believe that assets will exist and need to proliferate and work across many networks, whether it's a tokenized fund or tokenized real estate or a credit contract or other things to do that. And so we want to be a liquidity and distribution hub for those things.
So 2025, would you say it was a good year, a disappointing year? And then the next question is, how do you see 2026?
2025 was a fantastic year. Compare where we were a year ago to where we are today. We have almost every major institution in the world looking at this. We have the regulators in markets around the world basically rolling back and embracing in different ways. We have a race around the world to enable this. And so this is phenomenal. And technology progress has been incredible, whether you're in the Solana ecosystem, the EVM ecosystem, other platforms, privacy technology, so many things, Hyperliquid, like just incredible progress this year. So I'm more optimistic than I've ever been, way more optimistic than I've ever been. 2026 should be a phenomenal year for quality of execution, new products, new experiences. If you just focus on the price of crypto assets, you're missing the picture.
Well, that's it, guys. That's the difference between the builders and the speculators. The speculators were disappointed by 2025, but the builders say it was one of the most incredible years they ever had. Jeremy, so good to see you, my friend.
Great to see you too, yeah, thanks.
So Circle not focusing on prices. One builder who's been at the center of blockchain and banking for years is 𝗙𝗿𝗄𝗏. And after his announcement on stage, I kind of suspect these guys may be going public. He's a key Wall Street sentiment indicator, and so I always like to check in.
Well, it's been about a year since we've actually had you on Banter. In that year, we've got a new administration, pro-crypto, favorable administration. The industry's emerged, but the one that hasn't moved is the price. The price is a little bit higher than it was last year.
Sure.
I always turn to you because you always break it down beautifully. What's going on?
So I think right after the election, the kind of risk discount closed. Okay, so that was the bump from, where were we, 50 to 90, whatever that was.
50 and 90, yeah.
Yeah, right. So that's what I call the kind of, Kamala wins, risk, crypto dies, discounted price. That discount closed, and Bitcoin found its level.
So we're at the cusp of 2026. How do you see the market playing out in 2026?
Yeah. QE is going to start presently. Powell has basically said.
He said
yesterday, call it whatever you want. He said, I'm going to start buying 40 billion a month in treasuries. I think they're going to do more, right? I think unemployment is going to tick up. I think they're causing stagflation. It's part of the hangover from the Biden, money printing. There's nothing they can do about it now. But with, $1 trillion in interest payments, there's really nothing they can do to stop the train, as we say, right? So you're going to see quantitative easing, reset of debt. You're still going to see higher rates than what they want, but they're going to be flooding the system with money. I think Trump is going to do stimulus checks before the midterms. He's going to take this tariff money.
I also think so.
Yeah, I think is a horrible idea, and there's no way that's not going to make its way into risk on assets, right? And so it may not be the COVID boom, but I just don't see how we don't see significantly higher prices next year.
What about this theory that there's the old cohort of Bitcoiners that are starting to offload their coins because Bitcoin went over $100,000? Do you think that's what's keeping the price down? Because even ETH is actually starting to outperform Bitcoin now.
Yeah, I think there was an equilibrium, which I thought was really interesting in the fall, between people who were churning out of Bitcoin or taking some profits from 6, 7, 8 years ago, and new money coming in. That's why the price didn't come down to 70, 60,000. And also there was a little bit of leverage in the system, which had to make its way out while the maxis were selling a little bit. And so I think they found an equilibrium in that 95K range, which I thought was pretty bullish.
Now listen, I'm speaking to you now before you're going up on stage tomorrow. Quick taster before you go up on stage. What can we expect?
Well, we are going to be announcing our foray into real world assets. I won't give it all away, but it's super cool. It's something that it's been a pet project of mine for over a year. Something we're spinning out of Abra, actually. And we are, I'll say, wink, wink to the audience, we are very strongly considering a public listing in Q1 of next year. And so that's now acting as rocket fuel for our business.
All right, guys, you heard it here first. There's going to be an announcement on the stage. We can't leak the announcement just yet, but you'll hear it by the time the show comes out. Bill, thank you very much, my friend.
Good to see you.
If you look around the building here at Breakpoint, it's tough not to be bullish. But for all those builders, can they be heads down and building? Or do they need to worry about running out of runway? Do they need to pivot? When we come back, we'll go rapid fire into project after project on Solana to see exactly what's happening under the hood. How's it going? How's it going?
Good.
Good. Remember, this special coverage is brought to you by Space. Space is the world's first leverage prediction market. Go and check them out. They're launching soon.
No one is born special, but some people are born different. They just want a bit more. They take bigger risks, because for them, there is no plan B. They're the kind of people who go all in and bet on themselves. And even when no one believes in them, they double down, go even harder. They speed up, they raise the stakes. They risk everything to win it all. For people who want more.
Welcome back to Solana Breakpoint. Here at Breakpoint, the network is now celebrating its 5th year anniversary. And so here we're hearing announcements, people sharing ideas, and we're hearing all about the biggest developments.
We continue our coverage of Breakpoint 2025, and I want to show you something absolutely amazing. Come and have a look. This is another one of the areas, another one of the hubs. So on the one side, you have the Solana gaming console. So this is a specific Solana gaming console over here. You can see it over here. Also lots of hype going on here. But more importantly, look at what's going on here with the Seeker phone. And people can actually win a Seeker phone over there. Just have a look at that.
Let's go back to the Solana team for a recap of all the biggest headlines from Breakpoint. Better than I can do myself.
Next was a milestone 3 years in the making.
Fire Dancer is live on mainnet.
It's been quietly running on a small set of validators for 100 days, producing 50,000 blocks. With Ethereum locked in, attention shifted to how institutions move assets on Solana. Camino started with the introduction of its new identity, an infrastructure layer for institutional finance and tokenized assets, launching with a refreshed brand and 6 new products. Figure then revealed they filed for a second IPO, but this time with equity being issued as a token natively on Solana. No 𝗦𝗙𝗍, no Nasdaq, just a DeFi-ready security you can use on-chain. Then, Phantom took the spotlight, announcing the integration of Kalshi's tokenized prediction markets, powered by Solana and DFlow. On-chain trading events just leveled up for over 20 million users. Today pushed Solana's infrastructure, institutions, and culture to a new gear. Day 2 raised the bar, tomorrow raises it again.
First up, we have 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. He was a long-time Solana staffer. He's become the bridge between the network and the builders. He left Solana and is now building his own project called 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. And he's kicking us off with a look into the Solana project.
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is the internet in the internet capital markets. This is a new high-performance blockchain infrastructure layer.
So as we said, if you were a builder, 2025 was one of the best years you ever had. If you were a speculator, probably one of the most disappointing years that you've ever had. Here's a builder. Maybe just give us the background of what you're building.
Yeah, sure. So 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is, at its core, a physical fiber infrastructure network, optimized for blockchain and other types of high-performance systems. We have multiple contributors that are either contributing fiber that they own, they lease, they have some sort of access to already, and they're using that to build this new parallel internet that runs alongside the public internet, but much faster.
Why do we need it?
The thing the internet was built for was not performance. It was built for reachability, and it does an incredible job of that. And blockchain's kind of matured to the place where we're competing with traditional markets. We're competing with Nasdaq and 𝗦𝗍, and we're bringing equities on chain, we're tokenizing a bunch of stuff. And so we need to upgrade that base layer physical infrastructure to compete.
Is the project ready now? Do we have a second decentralized, very fast internet?
We do, yeah. We launched the mainnet on October 2nd, and since then we've got about 40% of Solana running on it by stake, 50% by validator count. Wow. So we've had a pretty fast adoption.
But how much are people actually profiting from the speed of this decentralized fiber network?
Yeah, so we just started onboarding the RPC providers, basically the transaction senders.
Yes.
And so for them, they're seeing a little bit of increased profitability for this, but really it's not necessarily about the interblock trading as much. There's a portion of that that's definitely about profitability. It's about the ability to go from 10,000 transactions per second to 500,000. And so more base fees, it's sort of like you can either sell one contract to a company for $20 million, or you can be Slack and you can sell everyone a $7 a month subscription.
Austin, well, I hope you do lift all boats, because that means we'll all have faster internet, more decentralized internet, and faster trades, right?
Yeah.
Austin, thank you very much, my friend.
Good
all
to
right,
see you.
guys, let's dive deeper into the world of Solana builders and Solana projects.
So the 60,000-foot view, Anatoly is the most important person in Solana. But arguably the most important protocol on Solana is Jito, because it captures most of the stake and it captures most of the value. Builders, builders, builders. That's what the theme is here today. And one of the biggest builders on Solana is actually Jito Labs. Guys, you've had a tough year this year. You guys have been building like crazy, but the token price doesn't reflect it. What do you think the market's missing?
Yeah, I think we need to tell our story a little bit better, and I think we previously have expected people to understand the value of Jito that we provide, and kind of didn't treat the token as a product, and trying to change our mindset around that.
And so what is the value that Jito offers? I mean, I know Jito is by far the largest staking protocol on Solana.
Yeah, so we're the largest liquid staking protocol in Solana, take a lot of fees from that, and then also on the MEV side, in the trading infrastructure side, we capture fees from that as well. So very closely intertwined with the inner workings of Solana and the fee generation there. We kind of think of ourselves as the economic engine of Solana.
How big are you, like relative to the rest of the market? Do you have a big market share? How big is the market share at the moment?
Yeah, so today around 95% of the network supports Jito. And so, yeah, we spent the past 2 years building a lot of that up. I think last time we talked to you, we were probably like 60% or something. So we're pretty steady around 95, 96% today.
So you're bullish Solana 2026?
Yeah, all the builders are coming into Solana. The network's performing way better. Transaction fees are going down. The network's getting more efficient. And all the app builders are coming to Solana.
Do you believe now that Solana has enough network effect to be the monolithic layer one in the blockchain space?
Yeah, but the job's not finished. I think there's a lot more that we can do. We need more builders coming on chain. All the current builders need to keep continuing to build and iterate on their products. And I think one thing that we're kind of not doing super well on, but I think there's a lot of bullish developments on, is perps. So we got to keep making perps better and try to take some of the market share from some of the other chains and centralized exchanges.
Amazing. So 2025 was actually a good year for the builders, and 2026 sounds like it's going to be even better. Brother, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Also hoping for a big 2026, and one of the biggest protocols on Solana is Jupiter. Everyone thinks they're just an aggregator, but they're one of the biggest super apps on chain. We sat down with their new president.
There's probably two protocols that you have to talk about when you talk about Solana. The one is Jito, and we spoke to Jito earlier, and the second one is Jupiter. What is Jupiter? How do you see Jupiter?
Well, Jupiter, when it started, it was indeed the DEX aggregator, the leading DEX aggregator on Solana. It was at a time when there was the liquidity layers on Solana were extremely fragmented, and so that was where Jupiter really found product market fit very, very early on. But since then, I think with our incredible sort of product and tech team, we built Jupiter into the on-chain super app. We have like over 13 revenue-generating product lines, serving all kinds of use cases and audiences on-chain.
So what's the ones that are, out of the 13, what are the ones that excite you the most?
Of course, the newer ones that we just launched.
Prediction markets.
Prediction markets with 𝗙𝗘𝗏, we're the largest prediction markets venue on Solana already with that integration.
How many users use Jupiter daily? Like if you were to take a number of like all the services and that, how many users does Jupiter have on a daily basis?
So today, year to date, we have about 30 million active wallets year to date. Obviously, we've come a long way. Probably like most of the people that interact on chain with Solana have or are using Jupiter across our full stack. So we have a mobile, we have desktop, we have developer APIs, right? We have integrated with thousands of applications and projects that all use sort of our data, our tech, our...
What's the most used tech? Is it the aggregator, the swapper, the original?
It's our trading engine. It's called Ultra. It's the most advanced trading engine, I think, in all of DeFi, and powering essentially Solana transactions. And yeah, I think a lot of venue are integrated with our trading venue, including the likes of Robinhood, Wallet, Uniswap even. We welcome everyone who wants to bring their users onto Solana on chain.
So I'm not going to ask you what you were excited about in 2025 because you only really joined now, but What are you excited about in 2026?
Look, I think it is announced, but we will very soon launch our own stablecoin, 𝗙𝗘𝗏. We'll be in partnership with Athena. But just one of the examples that we are really excited about to properly move composable, assets, tokenized assets such as stablecoins on chain and generate ultimately more yield and more benefits for everyone who uses stablecoins and interact with DeFi. And we need to just build the best application layer, the best products, and integrate with vision-aligned partners.
True on-chain finance, the builder's manifesto here at Breakpoint.
Thank you.
In other sectors, when we talk about oracles, we always talk about Pith and Chainlink. But there's a massive price difference between the two. You think it can catch up?
You know, when we talk about oracles in crypto, two names come to mind. The one is Chainlink and obviously the other one is Pith. And for years we've been saying that the Pith token is so undervalued relative to the Chainlink token. It's not justified. And after I heard Mike talking on stage today, I'm like, dude, what's going on? Why is the market not realizing the value that you guys are actually providing? Because the updates that you gave were absolutely phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
Give us some of the updates.
So some of the updates are, the first thing is we built Pith a long time ago so that we could provide US equity data on chain. No one's needed it or used it until this year. And the reason for that is that we had an aggressive SEC that basically wouldn't let you build anything. So we have all these protocols that now want to use real world assets, the thing we've had accumulated for a really long time that we can bring on chain, and we're seeing a tremendous amount of demand from that. So we launched Pith Pro. Pith Pro is a premium subscription data feed that enterprises can use for on-chain or off-chain businesses. And this has been blowing up. So we've just had our first month or 2 months of launch. We passed $1 million of ARR in the first couple of weeks. We've had about 10 inbounds every single week from enterprises. We've had over 80 subscribers on. This is on top of the 700 non-subscription paying enterprise that we have on Pith Core. And what's exciting about it today is we just unveiled the Pith Reserve. So Pith Reserve is going to take all that revenue. Now we're selling these subscriptions for dollars. We put that into the DAO, and the DAO goes out and buys Pith tokens on the open market and holds.
And what do you think 2026 is going to be like?
Hyperscaling of that. I think that we've only scratched the surface. The amount of inbounds that we're getting and institutions that want to use this data is incredible. I think that we're going to go from 3,000 instruments to over 10,000 by the end of next year. You're going to be really excited to see some of the bank names that start participating on both sides of the market. So it's just going to go much deeper and much faster.
So guys, I dropped a message in Frontrunners earlier today, which is our private Discord. And I said that one of my buys, one of the big buys for me in 2026 is actually going to be Pith. If you want to join Frontrunners, there's a link below. Otherwise, go and check out the Pith token.
Like we always say, join Frontrunners if you want the alpha. All right, more alpha. Looking back, 2025 was the year of perps dexes, and without a doubt, Hyperliquid took the lead. But can 2026 be the year where drift actually catches up?
So as I've been saying, if you were a speculator, 2025 was disappointing. If you were a builder, 2025 was the most incredible, pivotal year ever. But what if you were a builder that was building for speculators? Then how does your year look? Cindy, you're that founder, right? So how was 2025?
2025, I mean, if you look at the start of the year, everything was at all-time highs. We saw probably the most bullish sentiment around January, but like general shakiness around the market, right? And then you saw a lot of uncertainty in the middle of the year, volatility, macro movements, and a lot of degens getting wiped out in the last couple months that culminated in the big October event, right? So basically the start of the year was a huge leverage build-up caused out of massive bullishness, and then kind of a big reckoning moment in the last 2 months.
How do you think you're faring in the competitive environment? How competitive is Drift and Drift V3 at that?
Yeah, so we just launched Drift V3 last week, and here at Breakpoint, if you compare Drift V3 with Drift V2, you'll actually see almost a 10x improvement in speed and in liquidity compared to V2. And the reason is that we've stripped away all of the things that create any sense of latency. And so when you press, like we enable gasless trading, for instance, and you never need to sign a transaction again. I think where we win is the fact that we have two things. One is that all your collateral is earning yield on Drift. So you deposit USDC without doing anything, you're earning like 3% or 5%. You can use any asset as collateral. So that's where we win across all of our competitors. We're the only exchange that enables this. And all the other fronts, I would say, comparable, if not better.
What do you think 2026 is going to be like?
I think 2026 is going to be a consolidation year for perp dexes. Like a lot of the perp dexes that were built with lower risk management are going to be wiped out. Frankly, leverage trading is a dangerous game, and if you don't do risk parameters well enough, like eventually things are going to blow up. 2026 is probably going to be an even more volatile year.
Okay, so guys, listen, get this. You want to try Drift V3. Now, I know we've tried Drift V2 and Drift V1, but now Cindy's told us that Drift V3 is like the best. It's very fast.
and it's decentralized. There is a link below. Go and try Drift V3 using the link below. And then on Christmas Day, check your wallet, because if you've signed up using the link below, there could be $10,000 deposited into your account from Cindy. She didn't know about this before the interview, but now she knows about it.
It's coming from Ren's checking.
No, seriously, it is coming from me. There's a link below, Drift V3. Try it between now and Christmas. Check your account on Christmas Day, check your wallet on Christmas Day, and you may get an extra $10,000. Do it right now.
We love that. Thank you.
Thank you,
great gifts. Yeah.
You know what also excites me? When crypto projects get real-world adoption without people knowing that they're actually crypto. And in that vein, we met with the founder of Helium, revolutionizing all things cellular networks.
One of the projects that really had a big year, and I mean really had a big year, is Helium. You got to hear these numbers, guys. But give us the numbers quickly. How many phones in the network now?
We are seeing 2 million phones using the network every single day. A real crypto utility.
So for those users who don't know what Helium is, and I'm sure there's a lot of users out there who don't know what it is, just quickly, how does Helium work? What is it?
So Helium is a new way of building telecom. It's allowing the individual to operate their own radio and join a large network that's shared, and they get the benefit every time a phone connects to it. And so, Helium is on the network side is a way to sort of democratize access to connectivity.
So it's a mobile phone network that's actually made up of multiple small providers that provide networks. Now, I know that in South Africa, for example, where we live, you need a Telecom's license to provide a network. I mean, is that normal around the world, or how does it work?
That is the case everywhere. And so, what we do, we have what's called an offload network. It's a network that enhances the existing telecom infrastructure that's out there. It's using, something that we're all very used to, Wi-Fi, because all of our phones are very smart, right? When you go into a venue or when you go home, your phone automatically connects to the Wi-Fi at home, right? You're not like checking for the SSID or checking for the password because it's already built in there. Helium does the same thing, but when you walk into an airport or you're walking into a coffee shop, you're not asking for the SSID. Your SIM on your phone is just authenticating. It already has everything it needs.
How are they paying you? They're not paying you with crypto. They're paying you with...
They're paying in fiat. So we have two customers. We have the direct customers, folks that go to heliummobile.com, they buy a SIM, they're paying us anywhere between $0, $15, or $30 a month for a service, depending on the kind of service they want.
So if I understand correctly, right now your users are all United States users, right? What's the plan to expand? Because I mean, the world is big, right?
The world is big, and we'd love to participate everywhere. Here in Abu Dhabi, but the more sort of sooner is going to be Mexico. We've been in sort of technical integration with a local carrier called Movistar. It's one of the Telefonica brands, and we're sort of at that last mile of what we need to do on the technical side. And pretty soon, every single Movistar customer will be able to also join the Helium network, and any Helium deployer will be able to provide coverage for Movistar customers. So that's going to come up soon. And then this week we announced that we're also going to be expanding into Brazil. There's already a deployer out there who has 40,000 locations.
Guys, that's exactly what I told you. You look at the token prices are down, but you heard the numbers. You heard the rollout. They're talking about almost an international expansion. That makes me excited to be in crypto in 2026. Brother, thank you so much. You're making me excited to be here.
Yeah, you want the excitement continue? Let's talk about my Cast card. You know how much I love my Cast card.
As you can see over here, a Cast coffee station. Cast obviously sponsors our show and sponsors all the coffee stations. So we're going to go from the Cast coffee station to actually talk to Cast at our station.
So watch and see for another big banter giveaway. 5 people on Christmas Day. Merry Christmas, guys.
Guys, if you've been following banter at all, I'm so excited about my solid gold Cast card. Do you hear that? That's what solid gold sounds like. But I want to give you more insight into the project behind this amazing card. And stick around till the end, because at the end I'm going to give you guys an unbelievable one-time offering, which Rags doesn't even know that he's funding yet, but he will find out at the end of this. So this is a card. At face value, it's a card, but you say it's much more than a card. You say it's actually like a bank.
Exactly. I mean, we came out with a card product, and it was the easiest way to spend your crypto, but the full vision for what I wrote at the very beginning was to build a global bank built on stablecoins, and we call it better than a bank.
So you go onto the app, or you go onto the website, you get a card, you link a wallet to the card, and then you can send stables, and you can basically spend your crypto in real world stores, online stores, etc., etc. That's the first part of being a bank, right?
Yeah.
What's the next part?
So on top of that, we also have a savings account now coming, so you can hold it in US dollar treasury rates. We've also partnered with 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, so you can get rates that are similar to 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 or 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, I think sitting around 7%, we're as high as 10%. And the other thing is that now you can actually send money anywhere in the world using SWIFT. So you can send money via SWIFT to 125 countries. Everyone gets a US dollar bank account, an actual fiat bank account where you can receive money. Like I just sold some stock in the US. Instead of sending it to Singapore where I normally send it to my Citibank, I just sent it to my Cast account.
To my IBAN, SWIFT numbers, you basically send it to your Cast account. So you're getting a crypto account and normal account basically in one. You're packaging it into one.
Exactly. And you can hold your crypto there, you can borrow against it as well.
So you've literally merged banking and you don't need to walk into a branch, you can do everything online and then you get yourself an international global card.
Exactly.
Now I've been spending on this card, guys. Now best thing about this card is when you spend, you get like an alert back which tells you exactly how much money you get back. What are the numbers here?
Yeah, so at the moment, we've done it over different seasons. So the base one is 2%. And then we're also doing one where it's on the higher card, it's 5%. On the very highest card, the solid gold card, it's 8%. And they change over time. You know, you're on the 8%. But we're also super excited. I think in a few days, we're going to be releasing a partnership with one of the very large sort of foundations who, for a limited time over the next few months, we're going to be airdropping 4% in tokens on top. So just wait till we fully announce it, but you're going to be getting not only points with us, but you're also going to get an airdrop up to the first $5,000 of spending, but it's a solid amount of money back as well. So it's an incentive to really accelerate adoption of Cast as well.
I've got a good offer for you guys. As I said, not only are you going to get the percentage back, not only are you going to get the airdrop that he spoke about, but if you take a card out between now and Christmas, I'm going to choose 5 people and I'm going to upgrade your card to a gold card. Now, Rags doesn't know this and you can see the look on his face here because you're not really supposed to be upgraded to a gold card. But if you sign up between now and Christmas, check on Christmas Day and I may upgrade you to your very own solid gold Cast card. Just look how he's sweating. He wasn't sweating before I said gold card.
We have a rule that we don't give it away for free, but you know, I can't resist you, man.
5 people. Sign up between now and Christmas. There is a link below. Use the link below. Sign up for Cast between now and Christmas and check your account. I'll upgrade you before Christmas. And thanks to 2025 for coming to an end. Here's to a much bigger and much better 2026 for all us speculators out there. Regardless, as we've explored across the Solana ecosystem, builders are building with their heads down. Here in Abu Dhabi, Breakpoint celebrated the network's 5th anniversary. It's a huge milestone for the layer 1 that was founded by 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 in this very kitchen setting right here, over 2 coffees and a beer, or at least that's the story according to 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 himself.
I had 2 coffees and a beer with a friend of mine, and I was up till 4 in the morning, and I had this eureka moment.
When I knew that I could generate a data structure permissionlessly that represented passage of time, I knew that I could build TDMA, and that means I could build a fast network.
Since then, it's become one of the biggest and baddest unstoppable networks crypto's ever experienced. We've covered every breakpoint to date like no other channel can do. You decide, is 2026 going to be a big year ahead? Judging from the traction here in Abu Dhabi, I'd say so. I'll see you again in 2026. And remember, until then, trade well, my friends.